Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back again with another video. As you guys see on the screen, back on May 26th, the Naughty Dog Studios released a statement basically saying that they're going to have to delay the multiplayer game, and it looks like they are going to officially add in a single player experience. Something that I mentioned a few months ago that I was hoping they would do, because you don't want to run into that whole Black Ops 4 maybe fiasco where it turned out years later that in Black Ops 4 the campaign got scrapped. They ran into some issues and they just released Black Ops 4 with only a multiplayer and battle royale mode, and then zombies also. And then people complained that there wasn't a campaign, even though people said the campaigns weren't good and stuff like that. It was pretty ironic in a way, but I'm not going to talk too much about that. Where again, like I said, content creators talked about they didn't like campaigns in Call of Duty. Then Call of Duty actually cancels it. Then they complain that there's no campaign, and it's one of those things that you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't for studios and devs. So with that being said, I wanted to talk about a single player storyline for either the multiplayer game or the official Last of Us 3. Something makes me think that maybe this might evolve even further into The Last of Us Part 3. It might not even be The Last of Us multiplayer experience. Something tells me that they might actually go the Call of Duty route and just morph it into The Last of Us Part 3. If they have enough pieces ready for the release, maybe they'll just say, hey, this is The Last of Us 3. If they come up with a good enough storyline for the game, and that's what this is basically about. And really quickly, I've done stuff like this for the studios before, big AAA studios, where I basically say, hey, this is what I would want in the game, or in another way, if I worked for either Call of Duty, Fortnite, any of those big studios, this is what I would want. So I'm saying the same thing with this. If I somehow worked for Naughty Dog um, or PlayStation, and this is what I would want in the campaign, it seems like the perfect story, perfect prequel, or the perfect conclusion to the whole Ellie, maybe even Joel storyline. And again, it's something that I would want to play if they ended up going that route. Like I said, I am very lucky of stuff that happened in the past. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just know that the devs and the studios do listen to fans. If you have something positive to say, if you have something negative to say, they'll listen to you, but it's not really the best thing to be toxic. I try and be very positive and try and give them a lot of help. Again, stuff that I would want in the game. So, with that being said, this is what I would do. I would want it in a story. If it never happens, it's just something that I was thinking about. Pretty much laying in bed. Sometimes you kind of come up with stories in your own head, or head canon, people call it. So, what I would want, which I think would be a cool idea, is everybody knows that Ellie loves dinosaurs. We found that out in part 2 in a flashback, that she got taken to a old dinosaur museum by Joel, I think for her birthday, and she's always loved dinosaurs. And it just made me think, because I came across another video, and again, with that being said, just so it kind of relates to stuff in real life, fossil fuels are harmful, and it contributes to climate change and heating the planet and stuff like that. So it's something that goes on in real life that we're struggling to kind of take care of right now in real life. So, and if you guys aren't aware, fossil fuels come from dinosaurs and stuff, prehistoric stuff that ended up getting buried on the ground. And I hope I'm right about this, but what I was told, I probably should have did some research, is basically everything from millions of years ago ended up turning into oils, and those are why it's called fossil fuels. And that's how it relates to The Last of Us. Ellie is a big dinosaur fan. And what if, like in Jurassic Park, we find out that, maybe one of the paleontologists or one of the scientists, were digging for fossil fuels or digging up dinosaurs, or maybe there's an oil company that was digging for oil or drilling for oil, and that's maybe how the cordyceps, if I'm saying that right, or cordyceps, um, fungus became awoken or awakened, and maybe that's what contributed to the zombie outbreak. Is maybe they were drilling for oil, fossil fuels, so it kind of relates to stuff that were going on in real life. Because Laura Dern, who plays the scientist, her character name is Ellie. I'm like, wow, how cool would that be to tie everything together? Where maybe a character like her, or maybe just Ellie, in later in life, or maybe a couple years after The Last of Us Part Two, maybe she gets into maybe paleontology, if I'm guessing it right, because I think her character is a botanist, which kind of everything all jives together. I think her character was a paleobotanist, which means she um, looks and studies at old plants. And I just think it's the most ironic thing. Now, people might say, well, that's maybe where Naughty Dog got the story from. I know 100% they didn't get Ellie's name and story from this character. It comes from something else, which I won't mention. But I just thought how cool it would be if maybe Ellie goes through this conflict of like, um, dinosaurs that she loves also caused the zombie outbreak. I just think it'd be like a cool little story that it all ties together. Like, and ironic at the same time that her name is Ellie. Ellie Sattler is a paleobotanist, and it has maybe she was one in a way, or Ellie maybe does some research and finds out that maybe there was a company that was digging for fossil fuels, unearthed the um, fungus, or maybe something happened where they did. Maybe the process of creating gasoline or oil or refinery process somehow caused the cordyceps outbreak. And I just also think it's really funny that Laura Dern actually kind of looks like Ashley Johnson. I just thought that'd be like a cool little coincidence, also that they could almost be like, not sisters, I guess, maybe mother, daughter, or sisters, or aunt, not aunt, niece, and aunt, or something like that, some type of relative that they kind of look almost the same. I just think would be a funny little kind of Easter egg in a way, because Ellie, again, they share the same name, and the chances of them looking similar is just kind of crazy on the same side at the same time. But again, in Jurassic Park, they messed around with dinosaur DNA and the whole dinosaur outbreak. So it kind of almost shares the same story at the same time. Other things I want to just talk about really quickly is the fact that I would also still want a younger Joel and his crew, Tommy, Joel, maybe even Marlene or something like that. We get to see them. Years ago, we saw a little bit of that in the show. I think that would be pretty cool. So that's one thing I still would love to see, is the younger versions of Joel, and people like that, and maybe what happened after Sarah dies would still be really cool to see in the story. But again, this is just a quick little thing that I thought I'd share. How, like, the fact that Ellie loves dinosaurs. Shares the same character name as Laura Dern. Laura Dern looks like Ashley Johnson. I think is kind of funny in a way too, or they're a little bit similar. And maybe, like, again, like I said, maybe um, Ellie finds out that the scientists or the companies that were digging for oil somehow released the cordyceps, maybe in the refining process also. And then it also reminds me of maybe like Call of Duty Zombies Origins, where they were digging and they came across 115, and that caused like the zombie outbreak. Could be the same exact story. Would be really, really cool. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys later.